Hello, good day. My name is Anna Jane McIntyre, and I'm a multidisciplinary artist. I dabble in a little bit of everything, in drawing, printmaking, traditional and experimental printmaking. I also do a lot of casual micro activist gestures in my work. So I'm often when I'm doing a piece, I don't always discuss everything that's going on or what I'm trying to do. A lot of my work involves movement, and if I can't figure out a mechanism for the piece to move by itself, I'll activate it myself, and this has led to me collaborating with a lot of performers recently. This is a large doll. He's a wooden doll. He's probably about this big, that big. And it's actually, it's sort of like the game Telephone, you know, where you start with an idea or a sentence and you pass it on, you whisper it to the next person and it changes slightly. And then by the time that you get to the finished result, it's a completely different idea. So this is if I played that game with the idea of Louis Cyr, who is, I live and work in Montreal, and Louis Cyr is a strongman, a Quebecois strongman. So here I have made a portrait of him, but I made him black. So yes, quite inaccurate. And this was part of, in Quebec, the corner stores are called dépanneurs. And the word dépanner actually means to help out of difficulty. So he was part of an installation where all the objects were supposed to help people out of emotional difficulty. This is another piece called, this is another inaccurate portrait. This is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Over there with the eyeshadow. And it's called A Conversation. So the piece was commissioned for an exhibition last year that was commemorating the 50 years since his 1963 speech, I Have a Dream. So it's the idea of the conversations that he started and continued and how that's touched on different aspects of many of our lives. I work with wood a lot. So this is another kinetic piece that was commissioned for a feminist festival in Montreal. Commissioned by a really great studio called Studio 303. They're multidisciplinary. They work with performers. It was fantastic. It was set in an old school boxing gym. There were all kinds of great performances. So this is a feminist foosball table. It works, and people were quite rough with it. They were throwing it around. And so instead of the anonymous identical figures, the idea was that each foosball player was a feminist from different. It's kind of like a pickup game of foosball. So across different ages and cultures and of different levels of fame. So there's local people. There's my mom. There's my grandmother. You know, there's all just like a fantasy feminist foosball team. This was a large scale, so this is what I would consider experimental printmaking. This is a large scale digital print that was mounted, there's an area of Montreal called the Plateau that's quite French. And so this was mounted outside on the wall of the print studio that I'm a member of. And it's a character, and she's called Beaubien Baptiste, ballerine de la Nouvelle Vague. So ballerina of the new wave. And the idea is that I was trying to create a contemporary black superhero. I didn't actually talk about that, but her name, Beaubien, is one of the names of Montreal streets that I found was very poetic. And yeah, so there she is, the superhero that's sort of floating over the people of Montreal. Okay, this piece, it looks like it's a little bit dark to see. It's a commercial billboard in New Orleans. I participated in a project was called the Billboard Art Project in the States. And basically, the curator, she took over, her name was Claire Cardo, she took over commercial billboards and was just showing art pieces. So this piece, it was an ex-lover, and he is reclining. It's called Odalisque Sipping Beer. And so I was also playing with this idea of the traditional place of odalisques in art history, which are traditionally, reclining female nudes being looked at by admiring, usually men. But so in this case, I reversed it, so he's a male figure, and I'm looking at him admiringly. Okay. And this is my last slide. So as I was saying, I work a lot with performers and dancers of late, and these are a series of costumes that I created. So the figure up on the corner there, so this is the superhero, Beaubien Baptiste. I also use this costume in a performance where I imagine that Josephine Baker gets a new gig. Originally, when I got the fetish suit, I was just thinking of superheroes. Superheroes, but when I put it on, I didn't realize how it looks exactly like blackface. It was quite shocking. Yeah. And so I could go on, but that's the end of my time.